Five? Yep.
All right, I'm gonna make a quick announcement since I can. We don't have a quorum.
Yep.
All right. Let me have your attention really quick, everybody. Thanks for coming out for the annual meeting here at 6:30, which is our technical start time. We have voting that's open online until 7 p.m. We have not made quorum yet, so we'll basically be waiting here to see if we can get to quorum between the folks who sign in, and if more votes come in online to hit the threshold of 69 total homes that we need to make it an official annual meeting and election. So hang out, talk amongst each other, feel free to ask questions of anything.
And sign in.
And sign in so we can make sure to capture all the eligible homeowners here that we can get to quorum.
Excuse me, Mike, so what happens if you don't meet a quorum?
Because there's a lot of people over in kind of.
And they may, I know that there's now 4 people who have texted me that said that if they needed to come over, but they've already voted online, which is no. So if you vote online, you don't technically have to come and sign in. Your signature is already taken care of online. If we don't get to a quorum on this, then essentially there's no official annual meeting, there's no official election, and the board can then, you have the first right of refusal to retain your seat, and then the board can make the decision on who to appoint to the other open chair at that juncture.
So do you have voting seats?
Yes, we have ballots here.
Okay, so you have
Yeah.
to wait till.
If we make quorum, we'll distribute the ballots. If we don't make quorum, then
We won't.
yeah, basically.
I just sometimes I'll sit out there and it's right now beautiful sunrises and sunsets, but
Here's what I was working
I
on
just, I'm ready.
in between. So now you see for finance.
Mike, do we need to be live?
Yeah, let's leave it live. So you got like 1996 finances. We've got the budget for 96. So I'm starting to go through like all of 97 stuff. I got all of 2017 loaded. 2016, the finances are in pretty okay shape. When I asked for the meeting minutes, obviously we have 18 will.
Well, you'll start getting them routinely, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So that's why I needed 17 because all we had in here was December.
Okay.
So now you see I've loaded
Sure.
all them. We should have most of 16. I think we're missing, I don't know if we had it every month.
David tells
If you want, I can write down the months, and if you can just hold them, I just send them. I can fill out 16 because
Well, I put in mature on, I'm just.
Yeah.
so I need.
Well, I mean, put in
This is-
I came here, this is like my happy place, and I moved here, I got divorced last
And
year.
then November and
So
December.
excited.
Are you seeing 41 cash now?
And then
Yes.
all of a sudden my house is quaking, my dog is freaking out. And I'm just,
I would definitely try to find out from even Maureen might know, because she's been going on for so long time, president.
I just don't know why they don't have to put up a wall. Because, Mike was just saying that they don't want to be looking in our yards or us to look at them, because they have second stories, I mean, it's just.
I know, the work part. Yeah, they could be period. Yeah.
I know, I can't stand it yet, I'm just kidding. I was kidding.
I wasn't thinking you were serious, but, because now Thomas was like 5 feet on the other side, but he was going from, oh, really? He was 5 feet on the other side.
How did he,
Wow.
how did he get back?
You might know someone else.
It would, yeah, it would have to be the 2000s, because 2015 I have all 12 months. Because it probably would have been right when I took over
Yeah, I mean, I
the
don't
board,
know, he
which I don't know how long I've been doing this gig.
On the other side of the wall?
Yeah, he planted his on his side, but he also planted 3 on his side, because he owns that
Good for him.
And he has a pantry over there too.
Good for him, Nancy. What a great idea. So you're from New Orleans?
Originally, I moved here from North Carolina.
Where in North Carolina?
Raleigh.
My Tom.
I have made, but I don't
That's right.
have them.
And
And
her-
PDF, do you
and her,
prefer I send them in
daughter,
PDF, or can you convert them?
It doesn't matter, whatever's easiest. I mean, I just copy and paste into my
Oh,
A couple
Apple
weekends ago, she
pages.
she's a freshman and she played Paulette, the manicurist in the line, the musical.
And I think
Still in the
finances, I
show.
think I did all 26. Yeah, I
Because
think
I
it's
don't know
actually.
if you had
did
Joe.
all
Oh,
17.
I don't know this is wrong, but she said this is wrong. It's
Yeah, here, it got stuck, and it shows me where.
See, this shows you how anal I am. So here's like all the meeting minutes. I went through all the hard copies. So this is from 96. And like here's finance. So I can tell you what we have hard copies of, what we're missing, and then if it's green, that means it's going to the website, and then I put what data goes to the website. So I still got.
So you're gonna go back all those years?
Yeah.
That was a commitment you made?
Yep.
To that?
I want everything out there because that's
She wants to
again
be an actress?
one less thing for Chuck and the country use for a caveat.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had the budget for 1996. Well, it is online if you really want to go there. Now, I did notice that there's been just oddball missing things too. I mean, there was a whole, I don't know what the hell happened, but
Baby Green?
Okay.
I used to.
Yeah, so it's filling it up, but pretty accurate now.
Yeah, of what it's doing.
I was impressed with 4 hours too. Oh my God.
what you doing?
It's my, I got one, I have one already, but I just got a new iRobot.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing went 4 hours and 4 minutes. And then it showed me a map of what it did.
Nice.
Each time it does it, you know, and then when it gets stuck, like here's one where it got stuck, and it shows me where it's stuck.
And yep, visual's not
It's
working.
pretty cool, right?
This is the new one.
It should just
Yeah,
be,
it's
We
the
have the
new
old-
iRobot.
it should just be
Okay,
our
my
annual meeting and
computer.
election page, our title.
The blue
I
page?
know,
Unless you want me to
exactly.
go to
And see,
camera,
yeah,
we
and
can-
so
yeah,
see, like
we
I
can
can
stay at
right
camera.
now, I can tell it to clean, it'll start
Put it on
cleaning
camera.
now, right here.
I won't for that.
I know, right? Oh, yeah, it's important, it's huge for
Should
me.
take
It
about
does work.
10 to 12
It
seconds
works
for it to
great.
transfer
I've
everything.
had them through the years, and then this last 2 that I have are working now. Like, they don't get stuck on steps, they don't get stuck on rugs now, you know. I have 2 cats and a dog, so it's huge for me. Yes, it's huge. And so like I have one that's just my master bedroom and bathroom, and that's all it does, and I run it every day, and every day it depends. No, they don't care now, even a dog. They just
Yeah,
ignore it, they
They
get
don't
used
chase
to
it.
it. No, they get used to it.
Our cat sits on it.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So, but yeah, no, it's really good. Well, it's loaded, but yeah.
Do you have the sweeper?
The vacuum?
Yeah, no, the sweeper which sweeps.
Yeah, they have like a Swifter
Oh.
sweeper thing.
Yeah,
I saw.
we
The
have
left
we
one.
have one also. It's same company.
It's like a broom? What is
No,
this?
you know these sweepers.
It does the little spray, and then it goes like kind of like
Oh,
a
the
Swifter.
scuba, the floor
Scuba,
clean,
yeah,
floor
scuba.
clean. Oh, okay, no, I do not have that.
We have this one too.
Yeah, now does it, how does it handle like area rugs and things like that?
No, right? It will not go over the rugs.
It knows
just
it?
over the hardwood or
Oh, okay, because I've
the.
got all tile, and then it's got area rugs, so that would be good for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have hardwood.
Is it by phone too? Or not?
We bought it like maybe 5 years ago.
Oh, okay, so no,
And
it
so at
probably
that
doesn't,
time
yeah.
it was not. We have the iRobot also maybe 8 years now it's working. No problem.
Yeah, I know, right? They really work good.
Yeah, the only thing we change the brushes every 2 years maybe.
Yeah.
We change the brushes and filter. That's
Yeah.
it. But it's very.
I know, it works really
And we
good.
changed once the battery. It will
Yeah,
not
the
charge.
battery, yeah.
So
if it gets stuck, can you unstick it?
Yeah, well, it just, it either gets stuck on something, you just have to lift it.
Oh,
It's
but you
just-
can't do it on your phone?
Oh, no, it's physical. Because,
Move to the
okay, so
right.
here's the deal, right? So I had the one in the room and I decided, well, I'm gonna, I had the one in the bedroom and put it in the living room. And so it's cool around the living room, and my big area rug was shedding so much, and it was just going up the vent. So I'm like, well, I'm just gonna get a new area rug, because you can have this, right? So I get a new area rug. And then I go around, and then he gets stuck under my coffee table because that was too low. So I just had to raise the coffee table for this. I'm doing all this for my vacuum cleaner, right? But now it's all working clean.
But it's easier than do it yourself or
Well,
bring
yeah, well,
somebody
it saves me from having to vacuum every day, right? So now I can just like do a good vacuum once a week, but I
Exactly.
can vacuum all this every day,
Especially with pets.
Exactly.
They have one for gutters.
I saw that.
It's like, for the army, I think. Actually, this company works mainly for the army.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Do they?
They do these robots which go to buildings with explosives.
I knew they were kind of a leader in
Yeah.
Planting
robotics, right?
explosives in your
Yeah.
gutter.
And it was kind of, by the way, let's do it backwards.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it's by the way.
Yeah. Well, it's working, and I've had other ones, and some of my friends have had the other ones, and none of them work like this.
No.
This is, you can get cheaper ones, but it's not.
No,
the
this
same.
one
Yeah.
is the best.
Yeah.
The only thing I read about the privacy with this one, because they have the map of your house, and this is hackable.
Yeah, well, but
Yeah.
you know what, but so is your smart TV, and so is,
I mean,
it's
that's why I
like-
have stickers everywhere on my devices, on the camera.
Yeah, I've got a sticker on mine, so it's easy.
Yes.
I saw on New Year's Eve, I said
I have two networks, so I have, Bright, Mouse, or Spectrum, and I have CenturyLink.
How?
Because
Test out.
I was doing a test one day.
Just stay on the
Client, they were-
Turtle Creek
we were
channel.
doing this
It
fix,
should be
they were
live
going
on
to
there.
an ATM, gonna use the machine, I'm the focal point, I'm telling the technician to turn it on. The client said, go to the client, and I go down for 2.5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, I had had enough. So now I have CenturyLink, and I can get back online,
In case.
in case one goes down. I
But
don't
that,
get
you are paying twice, right?
I am paying twice, yeah.
But just for the internet, which is $29.99.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly, considering I don't get paid if I don't have internet, you know what I mean? So it's worth it to me,
Yeah.
But what I've done is, I have one that's just really all my devices, I have a router, I have a different router
Which is
now,
not
right?
secure.
Well, I have it, as secure as I can get it, but I have everything on the guest network, right? And I have that secure, but it's a guest, so my TVs, all that stuff. And then my other one is more secure, yeah, and that's kind of how I do these things.
Have you heard about this Siberia?
Those people behind me really well.
Siberia? Because we person goes to
Did you set the?
But
The internet
the
made
thing
it
is
just
we as
stop.
consumers out
Our
there,
stream
we're
health
only
went
liable
down
for $50.
really badly.
Yeah.
You can see
Right,
we
so
were down
it's
here.
on the
YouTube's
basis
not
of what a
sending
week
video
here,
to me.
whatever.
Yeah.
But when they start
Exactly,
seeing an
that's why.
influx and the fraud, then
Video
they're
streaming.
gonna start
Did
doing it.
you,
But it's all pen-based.
Put it on a.
But the thing that they
Hotspot to your
hate,
phone?
the industry hates the delay.
Yeah, I did it now as a backup, but even my phone, my phone will run for so long and then
Right.
they need a break. But
Right.
it worked on the last meeting pretty well.
I
Well,
think
okay,
30
so-
seconds it takes for the chip. As swiping, it takes like 5 seconds.
Right, but here's what happens. So
It looks
as
like
soon
it's
as
back up and running.
The card goes in,
Are you
the
on which- are you on
device, the point of sale
JCC?
device says,
Or-
No, I'm
time shipping
on my
payment
own now. I'm on
applications.
Flash.
So the card says, here's my payment applications. Oh, okay, I'll take the Visa
Our
one.
JCC
Right, and
guest
the
network is
card and the
running at
device
full.
then authenticate each other.
Yeah, do you want to do
Even
a
at that
speed test on it?
point.
Yeah.
That's why it's
Because
fixed.
we're
Exactly, and then when it goes to the
speed just because
host,
it's
we
got a good connection
authenticate,
doesn't
and
mean
then
that
the
the speed's
card
gonna be
comes
up
back
to
and
what it is for
authenticates
video.
us. There's triggers there that will, to make sure that there's been no tampering with it in between.
But we're running well,
It's-
but
there's
it's
a
saying
lot
we're
of
at
security.
4,500, which is where we
They
need to
don't
be.
verify. You don't verify
So-
anything. You just take the basic information,
Yeah.
the number, the expiration date, and that's it.
Right.
Yeah, so then you have to figure out if this is a genuine card or not fake.
Yeah.
But I think when the hardware becomes more faster, into communication
Right.
between the card and the
Right.
card reader,
Right.
then the time instead of 30 seconds it goes down to 10 seconds. Then I
Yeah.
think the industry will come back into use.
Right.
Because nowadays don't listen to the card processing.
Well, Visa MasterCard's gonna, impose some of that on you too.
See, I can
Right.
slowly see
We
the
have
internet
it,
start
but
fluctuating
it is
again.
on the side.
Right.
We don't use it because
Right.
it's too slow.
Yeah, and so what happens though is, so if there's
Honestly,
fraudulent
it may be a
information,
best
the
idea
card is
to
chipped, but the
go instead of
device
1960
isn't,
back to 1080,
the
we'll
merchant
run,
isn't.
we'll run
If
Yeah.
maybe
the device was
720.
chipped and the
Run
card's not, then the
720.
issue. So
Take
they're
it
not
down.
disputing
It's not like we
anything.
were
They're
trying
going back
to
and
show a new
forth.
car product introduction.
And then what's gonna happen when they steal use it.
Up and running again, good.
It's been nice for me because I've done everything to do with credit cards, so the new technology's been fun, right? It's been something
Yeah.
different to
Okay,
work
so we're
on,
back up.
Okay.
I think
We're
with
running
the-
at
how do they
725,
call the
12.
RIF?
What is it,
The-
1280
Oh, the RFID? Yeah.
FID, yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is the future.
Yeah.
Like with the watch,
Exactly.
the ring.
Yeah, what we call in the industry now,
Yeah,
the
everything's,
credit card.
because I can see
we
the
call it
stats
just
from
a
my
form
computer.
factor now.
34%
Because
is being used from my
this is a form
CPU.
factor, right?
The
You know, everything
GPU
is, to me,
is only
US card is
26%, so I
another
have so
payment
much
type,
room
you
for
know.
it.
So,
It's,
yeah,
it's
all
just the
gonna-
internet that's
They even
going
have
up and
things
down
like,
and nothing.
Touchless.
Fluctuating.
Yeah, that contactless, and they actually send like, that CVV
It seems to be
on the
holding
back.
steady now.
Yeah.
They
so
send that
cross our
dynamic
fingers.
now. I mean, like some of that's happening as you're,
Live.
as it's occurring. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I've seen cards that have a little pen pad on the back. And you punch in a pen, and then it opens up the mag stripe and lets you swipe. And then it closes it back down so you can't skim it.
And every time
Like when you go to pay, you just punch in a PIN code and then you swipe. And then it shuts back down.
But again, yeah, this may be delayed. The thing that the industry needs fast, like what Amazon did. You don't check out, you just
Yeah,
they
one
recognize your
click,
face
one,
and
yeah, exactly.
you pick your
Right.
whatever goods and you leave.
Then I found enough of that.
And the accuracy is very high. Has face recognition.
As it
We're
gets
good.
faster,
We're good. I mean, I'm pretty confident. I think it might have just been some real quick fluctuation in internet, but we're good now.
It can run your loyalty programs, it can do a lot.
Thankfully,
There's a lot
YouTube
of
though,
things capable of.
and
They
thank
just
God
don't
they
know
put
what to
this
do
in.
with it
If you
yet.
lose connection with your live stream,
Mhm.
I think they give you about 2 or 3 minutes to
But Apple
reconnect,
Pay,
so you don't
Android
actually
Pay, all
lose
that
like.
stuff is
Okay.
what
So if we
we're
now
doing
upload the
now
video,
is all
it will literally
stuff.
just say that for about
Everything
2
else.
minutes
No cyber-
it was offline, but it's not like it makes 2 videos.
Not
Bitcoin?
yet. Not
Still
yet.
keeps it
Right.
under one big file.
Not yet.
I saw a store in one of the plazas. He repairs shoes, and it's written on the door that we accept Bitcoin.
Oh, really? Yeah. That's funny. It's common. They can't stop it, right? It just keeps, you hear
Let me
about
do a
it,
speed
and you
test
don't
on
hear
my,
about it, and it's still there.
on my phone real quick.
My handyman, he is
See what
now,
I'm
he
getting.
thinks he is a millionaire now because of Bitcoin.
Really?
Yeah, he bought Bitcoins a long time ago because he plays poker online.
Right.
So at that time, like 5 years back, if you need to play games online, gambling.
That's the only way to do it,
Yeah,
yeah.
you need Bitcoin. So he had Bitcoins at that time because he played them. So he's now, every time he comes to me, he shows me how much his Bitcoins has value.
But does it have a translation yet? I mean, does it?
Yeah,
I
mine's
told him
decent.
you
I'm
can
running about
sell-
18
I
megabytes per
learned
second.
that
They
you
recommend
can sell
at
them
least
easy,
over
you have
12
to-
for video. So
Now, is that HD bid or is
So-
that downgrade from 1080 to?
that would be
Right,
basic.
yeah.
That would
it's
just
like
be
you
like
can
watching
sell
video.
for real
for-
So 17
like
would probably
US
get us
currency, or-
HD
Yeah.
video.
There are, you have
But we're
to
cutting it close.
go
So it's
to,
kind of proving that
agency
my phone
or,
is
Oh,
it's
okay.
good,
like there are
but
4 or 5 agencies where you
if
can.
we could get something honestly like
exchange
an
your,
actual router, it would just be
Where they would buy
you
in
know,
for
Yeah.
fees
if their
or
router was
whatever.
capable
I
of
got you.
doing
Like
the
an
speeds
exchange?
here,
Yeah.
Okay.
it'd be a whole different
But they
game.
would charge you fees
Agreed.
and so on.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, I
But
don't
it
we're
know.
fine
won't
now,
go
so
away.
no more interruptions.
It's not
I don't
going
see any
away.
fluctuations anymore, so.
Yeah, it really is.
which is strange, I mean, for me. Why, I mean, who will benefit from it? Because definitely the government will suffer from that because
It's a universal.
it's uncontrollable.
Yeah, really, it is. Yeah. There's no central agency even
Yeah.
controlling it.
Yeah.
Well, they could do.
You got it wrong, you don't.
And it'd be interesting to see where that ends up.
Technology's changing everything, our laws can't keep up with it.
Brown.
Some people adapt well, and other people don't want to change.
I'm all about it.
Me too.
I'm doing all the smart stuff at home and light bulbs, light switches, thermostats, door locks, all that. Got it all.
We have in our house, because it is a custom one, so we have a system they call Light.
Well, what do you think?
Did you ever find that replacement? You were telling me
Light
about?
safe, yeah. So.
I've never heard of that one.
Light safe. It's in some houses in Dr. Creek they have this system. In the 90s, it was the pioneer of lighting you control. For example, you enter your house.
You kind of wire your house for it, though, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It has a special weird wiring,
Right.
low voltage.
Right.
So in 2014, Apple bought a home automation company. They call it.
Yes.
Safeguard or something like that. And then Light Safe was the pioneer in this, and they have the best technology. So what they did, they bought Light Safe because Apple has a lot of money. They put Light Safe
I didn't worry a bit.
Oh, right, okay.
in 2014. 2015, they closed the company. So no service, no spare parts, no support. And when I bought the house in 2014, they have a company here, service them. I call them, they check the system, they say, you need to change this panel. They charge me $3,800 for a couple of panels and switches because the specific switches work only with these specific panels and the wiring is not the regular wiring. So I said, okay, I mean, and it has sophisticated, like if you enter the house and you want to go to the master bedroom, you press one button and your path will be lighted only this to the master bedroom.
I like that.
If you have guests coming in the night, you have special lighting, that's all.
But see, you can do all that now with smart things and stuff. You
Yeah,
don't need it wiring. You can go with things.
So when they closed it,
And Apple's done really hasn't come on strong in the smart
No,
area.
no. Google is strong.
Google and Samsung.
With Nest
Yeah.
and all these things.
Samsung Smart Things.
They just bought Nest. Google just bought Nest.
Yeah.
They were partners with them, but they actually just bought Nest.
Yeah.
So Google is really trying to go into the house automation. They're
Right,
hitting
right.
it hard. Yeah.
Well, and then with their router, you know, their mesh routers now.
Oh, yeah.
you
Oh,
know.
yeah.
But I do the one that I have is, and Google doesn't have it yet. It's called Smart Things, and it's made by Samsung. And so you have you have a hub on you attach a hub to your router, and then you buy things. And things can be a plug, can be a water sensor under your sink, can be a light, all GE light bulbs now are all smart, Z-Wave,
Like
enabled.
Phillips.
Yeah, and so like you go on your phone and you load the app and you just say find things and it searches your house and it finds all your, and then you can have, then there's that IFTT, if this then that, and you can go put recipes in and say like I do, like I have a good night recipe that turns on, locks my front door, turns on my exterior lights, does all that stuff for me, and then in the morning I have a good morning, it turns all that off. And it's very intuitive, and then once you have it all, you just do it, and then you can tell Alexa to find things, and then you can start telling her to do it just all voice, yeah.
This is, don't you think this is, it's convenient, but it's complicating your life?
No, it's very easy. I thought it was gonna be that, like, when I had it, and I like didn't open it, and I'm like, I gotta wait for an afternoon to get all that to work. It was boom, boom, boom. I'm telling you, I have no issues. Smart Things.
And what do you buy?
It's Samsung Smart Things. So you can get it on Best Buy or Amazon, and they have like a little kit. Yeah, they have like a little starter kit. They got door sensors, and yeah, it's very easy, very easy. And there's a big following, so big blogs about it, and people have already written recipes, and the app is very intuitive. But even if you don't do like the app thing, you just get it set up, Alexa will find it. You don't even have to do anything, and she'll find it, and then you can tell her, and then you name it. You name it, and then you tell her, like, I don't even turn on my office light anymore. I just tell Alexa to do it all the time. It's behind a door, you know, I don't even do it. I just tell her to do it.
Yeah.
All the time now, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
At home with us, we have Nest thermostat, the thermostats.
Yeah.
And
It works with
something so simple, but whenever I leave the house, it like turns off the air conditioning unit, or at least lowers it.
It like knows.
It's unbelievable. Or I can tell my phone and say, I'll be like, okay Google, turn upstairs thermostat to 78. And it's like turning to 78, done.
Right,
That's all I have to
exactly,
do.
yeah,
It's so integrated. It kind of takes care of itself.
Right.
You really don't have to do
Which
anything.
one is that one called?
That's Nest. I have
Nest does-
Echo-Bee, and
Yeah.
I can tell you, I've had this thing for 3 years, and I think there's been 4 times that I have struggled, like I thought something was wrong with the air conditioner. They have, and so I'm like, okay, I need to call them, because before I call the air conditioning guy, because he's gonna blame this, they're gonna blame that. These people have sat on the phone with me for several hours. I don't know how to make money. And then they email me a report, and then I call the air conditioning guy and say, yeah.
From which company was it?
This is Echo-Bee.
Echo-Bee.
Yeah.
They usually are really good customer service.
Yeah,
Most of these home
amazed.
integration companies.
I mean, like, he like waits for me to get a ladder and feel if it's coming out, and then I'm
Don't
not
worry,
kidding
I'm
you.
here for
I
you.
know, right? Yeah, I mean, it's like,
Go ahead,
literally
go get your
works me
ladder.
through everything. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You know, yeah. I don't know how they make money, because their support is just unbelievable.
Yeah, I do have three nests in my house.
Yeah.
Because my kids, they leave the house, they don't switch off the AC or
Yeah.
they
Right,
they
exactly.
leave it as it is.
Right.
So my bill is
Yeah.
It's
always.
unbelievable.
And now it gives me every month report how
Yeah.
much I
Yeah.
Right, exactly, I know. I know.
The damage
Yeah.
of how much your bill is gonna
But
be.
you know, Alexa won't unlock my door. She'll lock my door, but she will not unlock my door.
because it has no voice recognition.
She
yet.
says she
How many
won't
people
do
do we
it.
have signed
No,
up?
she says she doesn't do that.
The,
And I think it's because somebody could maybe yell from outside
Yeah,
to tell her to
to
do
open it.
it
This
or
number doesn't
something.
mean
You
anything.
know, I think it's a safety.
So,
She'll
what's the
lock
lock you have on your door? Which
I
brand?
have,
Yep, okay. And then how, do we know how many homes we signed?
The
up?
Nest
So we got,
Sal, no, it's like a lock company. Sledge, yeah.
I just
if
got
you
one
go
there
to
in my garage.
ballots cast, click on that.
Bluetooth? Yeah.
Yeah.
Tells you who it is. You can just type in the name or the
I don't know,
address,
it's
the
smart,
first
because I
numbers
can
of
do
their
it
address,
like on my
and tell you
phone,
if
and
it's
Smart Things can find it. It's not
I can
Alexa,
change-
it's
I can
Z-Wave.
change
It's
the
Z-Wave,
combination.
that's
Z-Wave.
what, yeah,
Z-Wave.
yeah, everything
You can type
Z-Wave
in
is all
because they're
gonna
not-
work
they're
with
in
all
no
this stuff, right?
real
So
order.
you
They're
can
just how
get
the
Smart
people
Things, you can get
opted
Irish,
into
you
the
can get
program.
whatever.
There's no
I have,
Z-Wave.
I have my
That
home
versus the member
theater.
number.
All
Or you can
smart.
figure by what's
Yeah.
The
the
lights,
resident.
Yeah.
the
You can
You
screen,
tell Alexa to do it?
No, I don't have Alexa,
Oh.
but I have a.
Guess I gotta
I
take
can, I
this
can
now.
tell.
You can do it on your phone though, right?
So
Yeah,
now
on
it's
my
like-
phone, there's
yeah.
app.
My first
And
name.
it
So
switch on everything, switch off the AC, the lighting, start
Right.
the DVD and
It's nice, isn't
Yeah.
it? You just gotta get used to
I
it.
need to get the board members to sign in also.
But I've got a Google, I got
already
Google
have
Home
people sign in.
and
I need to
Alexa,
have the board
but I
members
like
sign in.
Alexa better.
It's I think Alexa's like
Yeah.
nicer with she's more
does this mean?
It's a
fluid,
little
but Google is definitely more
I feel like I'm missing a part of this.
intellectual.
That's
More
here.
content,
need-
they have, yeah,
yeah,
then
So it's
Go to
Really,
drop
you
down
have-
and then just put like
I've-
100.
I get disappointed
And I'll
with
have
Google
everybody.
if I have like a special
Either
request,
that or
whereas
buy
if I
address.
ask Alexa, she's
Buy
like, this is
address?
not one of my features.
Maybe
And I'm like,
yeah.
yeah.
Right,
Like,
right.
they're both really good, but I'm just, because I have my phone, I kind of always.
I've been reading that Google's gonna catch up. They were just like,
We get you to, you both sign in.
I did not already. But what I was reading was, that, like, the example that they had was, like, you can say.
I don't need the member
who
number,
was
right?
the 16th president, and say, like,
Cause
No.
I want, I feel like I'm
Say,
missing
okay,
part of the
Alexa,
road.
That's what,
how
when they
tall
cast
was
it
he
all,
really?
they
But
will tell you
Google,
that, but
you
you
can
don't,
say,
this is only
how
the people
tall
who
was he?
voted,
It
so it doesn't
knows
matter
that
what
you had
time
Oh,
already.
it doesn't matter.
And it
I don't
knows
have
your
to say
vote
yes, this is
probably.
only the people that
This is
voted.
only the
So
people
they're
who
saying
voted.
it's gonna catch
So then we're gonna
We
bump
have
it against
Alexa in
this
our
to make sure
kitchen.
we don't have anybody
Yeah.
crowded
The only
voted
thing we really
online.
use her for
Like on the paper.
is to play music.
Already.
Because
She's great for
because
that.
most of, like, I control most of my devices, my lights or like my thermostat through Google, just because it's more
I can't get
intuitive,
it
it
to
kind
get
of
my
picks it up.
smart things. I can't get it to find it. Here I am.
Okay, let me sign.
We're signing.
Okay.
Maria,
We're
they
working on it.
really are counted in the quorum,
In
because
the,
they've all voted.
we've all voted online.
So when we total this up, we want to make sure that
We do not account.
Oh, is it?
we don't count these
Excellent.
five, right?
Where am
Well, there aren't that many of them left.
My dad one, but
Crazy.
I? Okay, yeah, I'm all good, right?
and they.
I just love like Nest my lights. I mean for Phillips Hue, I love the fact that I can automate it. So my brother leaves the lights on all the time. Most of my family does. And it's so loud in the middle of the night. So I have it so that at 1 o'clock, no matter which light is on and out, it turns every one of them off.
Exactly.
It's perfect.
Exactly.
It's perfect. I never have to worry about if I left the light on in the
I know,
kitchen.
right? Exactly.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I know.
Brilliant. So easy.
It is nice. I'm telling you, I just get used to it, and I just buy. And so instead of doing the light bulbs, I've had the smart light bulbs, but I've struggled with them. Sometimes I've had a hum on them, you know, things like that. So I'm investing more in the light switch plates, and I'm replacing it with that Lutron where there's no screw. You know, you don't see the screw.
Thomas,
I got it. Sorry, this door jams a little.
Oh, that's a plus.
I couldn't do a lot of them.
No, no.
It'd be a +1.
We are missing one of.
Like you voted online.
Much less.
Versus,
It would be a +1, I don't think.
Oh, I know exactly.
The infantryman saw.
Yes, I know.
Why?
Well, they had no choice, they could.
Maybe the letter.
I don't see it.
No.
No, I don't think so.
He was
I don't think
registered.
so. We've had some news on that.
He voted online.
Can you find his location?
I don't want to.
+1.
As long as it's not here.
Okay, so you got a +1?
Yep.
And then Pagas, David and Karen Pagas?
That's
No,
it.
David's not here.
He's just,
He voted online.
Okay, we voted online.
Yeah, the future, we're all gonna be spoiled. I know that, because the future is advancing so quickly.
Yeah, he did.
I love it. I
Everything- everything's Wi-Fi.
what I had this winter, because of the cold, all the ground floor went off, and I couldn't switch it on back.
Uh-oh.
Because, okay, I get those warnings on mine saying that it's just running too much.
Yeah,
So,
is that all?
So did Dom.
Is that what's
+1?
happening?
yeah, I don't know. So I tried to call somebody to help me,
Yeah.
She's +1.
and they said,
Sorry,
no, the
not
company,
supported.
yeah, not supported.
Yeah, that's
So
+1.
I googled what are the options. They
This
said,
was-
Yeah.
yeah,
One,
the
two,
new
three,
company,
four,
the
five, six,
Safeguard or
seven. So you
something,
have
they
+7
can
overall. So
keep
41
the same wires,
online.
but change the
Net
model
7
and the
in
switches.
person is
That's
48
home,
total.
like one day for a house which is 3,000.
No more? Excellent.
70,000.
Okay.
Why
And
don't
mine
you
is
just smart
6,000.
things
So
and
we
give
will
it
get the
up and just
certification
go with
from
what
the online
everybody's
voting
doing?
company within the next couple
Yeah.
days. I'll
Just
send it
give
to
it
you
up
for
and
the
start
records.
going with,
Okay.
like, do
They
wings
just said
or
yes.
iris or
There was
smart
nothing
things or.
malicious, or they didn't have any
But the
phishing
wire
scams or
is the problem.
anything. These
I
are the
can't
people who
find,
voted, the
if I
time
hold
canceled.
the wire
We're good to
and
go.
make it as a normal, like every
All right.
it will cost more than $120,000.
Oh, right.
Okay.
So then I found a very simple solution.
All right, so I'm gonna make the, we did not make quorum.
Okay.
No.
Don't forget to let them know we're streaming.
Yes.
We have to let
Well,
that
it
know.
was in the note too. All right, just as an update, we went through the records here,
and can tell you that we had 41 people who voted online. We had 7 homes here represented who have not voted, so for a total of 48 overall, which is substantially less than our quorum. So there is no official annual meeting or election. Knowing that, Raid is the incumbent. If you so desire, you can roll over and you would be reappointed automatically to your directorship. Okay. So that leaves the open chair that we have, which would be a board appointment, and we still have the 2 gentlemen, Taylor, Ross in the back there, and Lou. How you doing? As the other 2 potential candidates that the board can choose from. But I think just in the interest of everybody getting to know them, maybe Lou, Taylor, maybe stand up, give a kind of a brief overview yourself and why you want to be on the board and what I want to be when I grow up type of thing. It's kind of just frame it up, so it'll be great. Thank you.
Hi everybody, I'm Taylor Ross. I've lived in Turtle Creek for a little over 5 years, I think. My background is a degree in mechanical engineering, and I also have a law degree. I practice here in Orlando at Tupperware. I think the engineering and legal background would be very relevant to the board activities and would help bring some additional insight there. I have lived in this area for 20 years, 5 years down in Hunters Creek, but Dr. Phillips for 15 years. I've lived in Diamond Cove, I've lived in Brentwood Club, and I've lived in Turtle Creek. About a year ago, we started looking for a larger home. We were living in Avalon, and started looking for a larger home. Looked at several communities, and Turtle Creek was still the best thing out there. So we bought another home in Boca Point and stayed in Turtle Creek when we wanted to move. We like Turtle Creek a lot. So I'd like to see what I can do to make it better. Thank you.
I'm Lou Marciani. I've been there since day one. I was house number 15 in the Avalon section, so I've been there a while. I have 3 advanced degrees in engineering, own my own business, have done everything under the sun on top of all that. And I'd like to see if I can help out, with some of the technical stuff around the neighborhood. There's a lot of stuff I work on myself as a company. Video systems, sound systems. I do kind of just about everything you can imagine. Fix cars, fix plumbing. And that's pretty much it. So hopefully I can help out everybody once.
From a board perspective, did anybody on the board have questions for Lou, Taylor?
No, I think you guys summarized it up very well. Thank you for being so daring as to take up one of these positions voluntarily. Other than that, are you allowed to divulge how many votes were taken on each person?
Yeah, I think, is there any issue
Because
with?
I'd like to take the votes into consideration.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we, can we see between Lou and Taylor, the vote count?
I mean, that'll kind of
Yeah,
guide, that'll guide me,
yeah.
I don't know.
We haven't voted.
Okay.
What was that?
We haven't voted.
There's no quorum.
There's no quorum.
So there is no vote. So the board is appointing the open seat. We're just using from a point of iteration, looking at the data to see what, what is it?
We have, say it out loud now.
That's fine.
We have Lou with 30, and we have Taylor Ross with 26.
Oh, very close.
That was very close, yeah. All right. So do we take a vote? How does it work?
Yeah, I'm assuming it's just a simple motion to appoint. I mean, I guess if there's no more discussion.
Well, I'll motion for Lou. He's my neighbor.
All right. All right. I second the motion.
All in favor of the motion to pick Lou as our other board member?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
All right.
Thank you so much, both of you, for
Thank
running.
you. Appreciate
it.
that. Ray, thank you again for serving. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
with that, we will move into the organizational meeting here. So, yeah.
Yeah, they bring a chair.
Give her.
Oh, can't say they bring his chair.
Give up your seat.
You're on the hot seat now.
There's a secret ceremony after prick your finger.
Fingerprints, facial recognition, yeah.
So, let's see, I'll call to order the organizational meeting for the 2018 Board of Directors here. We do have a quorum of all the directors. It was officially noticed in the second send-out, even the first send-out that went to homeowners a while back on the annual election process. So with that, the intent of the meeting here is to determine, again, our officers. You have the president, you have vice president treasurer, which is one position, you have secretary. We will also confirm everyone on the committees that are listed today out there on the website. We'll essentially rolling them over again. We just want to capture that in the minutes because we haven't had any resignations or applications to those, so there would be no changes to those committees. So with that, I'll open it up.
I'll nominate you as president.
Okay. I'll accept another go-round. Do we have a motion?
Aye, right, yeah.
No, just I need a motion.
Yeah. I'll make the
I'll
motion.
motion it.
All right.
A second, yeah.
Okay.
So
I'll
it
make
was
the motion,
seconded.
yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
VP treasurer? Want to vacate?
Aye.
All right. And then I'll make a overall motion as, I'll make the motion for, and we do actually, on a side note, we do have a policy that we're going to have to be adopting. Tom had done some audit work for us, and we have to get that kick-started. But essentially, we want to change the I guess, our process to say that you serve on a committee until such time that you resign, instead of going through a yearly hassle on this constantly. So, but in the interim, I will make the motion to continue with all members of all committees as listed on our website.
Okay, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So that essentially concludes the organizational part of the meeting. So do we have a motion to adjourn the organizational meeting?
I'll motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
All right, meeting adjourned. With that, I'll call to order the actual board meeting. So with that, in terms of looking at our agenda here, we do have a quorum of the board of directors here. Proof of notice was sent. It actually was sent with the proposed amended budget for 2018 that was stated in that, as well as posted on the website and on the exit gate sign. In terms of the meeting minutes from the January meeting, Maria had sent those out today in the package, reviewed them. I didn't see anything that needed correcting. I think Nikki read them too.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I will make a motion to dispose with or waiving of the reading of the meeting minutes and accept as presented by Maria in the email earlier today. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Now we have a couple other little things here. In terms of new business, we have our amendment we need to go through here. We'll see how much time we have left to get through anything else. I know there's a couple topics we can discuss here, and it'll be a little bit more, how can we say, abbreviated than the normal walkthrough that we have with the slide deck. Now, in terms of the budget, this is the analysis for the proposed budget. Do we have copies of that for anybody who wants it here?
I don't think I did.
Okay. So previously we had sent this out. It was basically I don't have to go through all the details with the board here, but we've been working through this assessment level issue. as it relates to the Avalon level being basically 2/3 of the Boca and Waters level. Previous communication on this that we had sent out did acknowledge the issue, and subsequently with that, we need to amend our 2018 budget from the quarterly assessment perspective for Avalon from $369 per quarter to $355 per quarter, which would bring it essentially in line with the 2/3 relationship that's in our covenants. So, as you can see here, we have the approved budget there in the one column, our proposed amended, and then whatever variance we have. So, from an assessment income perspective, you can see it's about $6,500. It ends up running on a steady state annualized basis. Expense-wise, I know we had reviewed this and talked about this. You know, we did a couple of different things here in terms of, you know, where we're gonna, you know, get this from. One of them, you know, G&A. There's a tweak we could make in there to, I believe it was either the miscellaneous account or the management fees account, because we're, you know, essentially budgeted at 1.5 FTE when we only have 1 FTE. And then the other component then is in the grounds, we have our routine infrastructure and maintenance account, which is essentially our, you know, that's our plug account where we keep the overages. So with that, I mean, you're going to just offset it, a net impact of 0 overall. So like it says in the boxes here, you know, we're going to get back to the relationship as defined in the documents, pull that back into compliance. Right now then, starting in Q2, which is payment for the Avalon homeowners, which is due April 1st, that will then start the $355 per quarter then. So new coupon books, you know, Leland, as we discussed, we'll work with Alliance Bank to send out new coupon books for Avalon to acknowledge the $355 quarterly rate. And then from there, I'll also send out an email after the meeting this evening, and then we'll work to post the web page we talked about now that we're, you know, once we approve the budget, and that's in there. I'll have this chart in there so anybody can reference it. So I'll open it up to the group, and Lou, feel free if you have any questions, you know, on here. But I mean, this is pretty straightforward.
I just think it's a good job, Mike, going through this and having this with no assessment, you know, figuring this out. So for Turtle Creek. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
But what was the grounds? What is it that we're backing out in the
routine
grounds?
infrastructure and maintenance is where we essentially park our projected net income on an annualized basis. So within there, we always have to, you know, our expenses have to equal expenses or income.
Right.
So when we do bottoms up on the expense side, anything that's left over, or as I always referenced it in accounting class, the ANTB, amount needed to plug account, that goes into that routine infrastructure and maintenance, which can be used for different things.
So that was an overage anyway. Okay.
It's not impacting any proactive or regularly scheduled maintenance program. A lot of those activities are always derived from the reserves.
Right.
So, and we're not touching anything in reserves. You know, there's no change in our funding since we overfund reserves by about 20 grand a year, so there's no change in that. It's essentially, this is a, you know, the impact is to me at $500,000 for $6,500 is a rounding error at that point. I'm not overly concerned, and it gets everything, I guess, done. Step one is complete in the process, and then, you know, we can move forward from there.
All right, so you need a motion to approve this? Or?
Yeah, I can make the motion if there's no other discussion on it.
No.
Second, good.
I'll make the motion to, and this is where we got to go through each one of these things.
Oh, every one of them?
Oh,
jeez. I'll make the motion to approve the quarterly assessment for Avalon be changed to $355 a quarter starting in with quarter 2 payment due April 1st, 2018. Do I have a second?
Yep, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
With that, I'll make a motion for the Avalon assessment income to be revised in the budget to $164,720 to coincide with the decrease in the assessment level. Do I have a second for that motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So with that, we've completed step one to get this issue reconciled. So the budget will refresh everything to make sure everything, we're good there. And then the March meeting, we'll take care of the other component, as we still have, I think some work to do there, and research and final details to button up on that. So.
Okay.
With that, we can go through the monthly results. From an overall perspective, if you looked at the net income line, I mean, it was basically net zero. I mean, I think it was net variance of unfavorable of like $500 or something. I do have a couple things to follow up with Bernadette on. If you notice in G&A, we had like $1,400 in the room rental. Half of that, $700 of that, is attributable to the online voting platform. Understandable. But it looks like she booked the entire yearly contract for the JCC of $720 in January, where I thought we were going to accrue it as a prepaid, and then we would just exhaust it over on a monthly basis, because that's how we timed out the budget.
Okay.
So that was one question. I want to know why that was not put in as a prepaid expense. The other one was the original coupon book mailing. That's just timing. That I don't know why. Usually that hits in December. I don't know why it came in January. Just a timing issue or something. But that's legitimate. For the new coupon books that need to be printed, I believe Leland will pick up that for us and get that done gratis. So.
Oh, really?
So $4
That's good.
$4 a coupon book times 116, 396.
Thank you, Leland.
Yeah, give or take. But other than that, that was the primary, driver between the two. I mean, other than that, everything was basically a couple things here and there. Grounds, you can see, there's our friend, the $2,000 for the routine infrastructure and maintenance account favorable. Tree removal, there was no trees removed. Now, grounds and maintenance, $262 favorable. So when we're talking about the overall issue of the assessment credit and how we were going to take care of that without having it degrade the financial position of not only the organization but not have it passed along. Let's fund this internally. I went back to Brightview because last year or the year before, after 7 years, we had given them a one-time 4% increase on their pricing, which went into effect last year and was still in effect. It was essentially a carryover at that time. So I called them and asked, hey, this is a situation. Why don't you help us out and roll it back for 1 year and we can revisit it? So we had that discussion. Yep.
Wow.
So we have they rolled back the pricing. We have that in. It already hit for January, so we got it in for their invoice, and they changed it. So we'll get, $3,600 from them this year for price performance to help offset anything.
Yes.
So
That was nice.
That's good.
yeah. So that was and from
So we gave a raise and then took it back.
Can we take the money back, please?
well, I mean, at the end,
Give it, take it away.
at the end of the day, if you haven't had a price increase for 7 years, I mean,
Yeah.
That was kind
It's very
of
kind of them.
bold of you to.
Well,
ask
and-
You don't ask, you don't know.
yeah. I mean, and that comes down to having the working relationship to
Yeah.
be able to do that. So that'll be an ongoing monthly there. And then the holiday lights, that was just the timing, I believe, again, for the invoice. Now, it was $850. Was that did we pay them half? Because I thought they were like $1,000 a piece or for takedown and put up.
That was the only invoice that I saw come through, which I
Okay.
thought was pretty low too, so I don't know if they give you a different bid.
I don't know. On that, it just struck me as that, because I was thinking it'd be about $1,000 or $1,200, whatever we do for up and down on the lights. So, but that to me,
The vendor again?
Honnold.
Oh, Diane, okay.
Yeah. Okay, guardhouse here, basically this is all security salaries. So what we have here is two things at work. Or excuse me, one thing at work is the timing, and we go through this every other month, it seems, depending on how many weeks in the productive weeks in the month and the cutoff on their pay. Next month, we should have a corresponding favorable amount for this, timing on that work week on that. Now, I did get we had an email Maria sent me today that U.S. Security is looking for a price increase, which I emailed you back.
They do realize this really isn't the best time to ask for that.
But I also want to know, because they have Alan as the chief listed out as 1. Now, we gave Alan a raise last year.
Sure.
So am I giving him another raise this year? Is that what they're asking for 1?
So that's what we're gonna get clarification.
And the second piece of it, they had all the other guards lumped in at one price level. Now, I know we had provisioned Dionysius to get a increase specific to him last year. So I need to understand by name. I want to make sure we know what do they take home on an hourly basis, and what's our billable rate on the hourly basis for all of them. And then we can review it. And then the other one is, I don't know if they have any data, but again, with security officers and in the hourly thing, it's such a competitive marketplace. Is this more about U.S. security, or is this more of a overall, if you want to call it, is everybody getting squeezed from Allied to Barlow or whoever on this? If they have any backup on that, I'd like to see it on that, just so I can understand where they're coming from for review. Utilities, we had irrigation was overage, and that irrigation covers not only the water but the electrical to run, obviously, the irrigation. We did have new sod installed earlier, so that we're still running heavy on a lot of that stuff. We do have another pallet of sod that should be getting cut and coming in around the circle. It seems there is a constant issue with a couple spots that continue to die. I mean, this seems to be an ongoing thing, and we've checked the irrigation and everything. I think people just run over it.
Is it the same spot all the time?
Almost. Yeah. So.
It sounds like a yard.
Yeah.
That's why that's why I asked. I mean,
but,
something odd there.
But I mean, we do budget for that kind of stuff throughout the year for sod, so I mean, it is what it is. But again, the more sod we put in, the more direct cost, unfavorable performance we'll have in irrigation. Obviously,
Right.
They got to ramp up to keep it living. So, reserve expense here, obviously, that just is static. Like I said before, we're still funding. When I went through the reserve study, we're still funding it. About 20,000 over what was in the last reserve study, and that was back in 2013. So we're probably going to have to start queuing up. Who is it? Reserve advisors for quarter 2 sometime. June, July, when I can
You have
talk
that
to
on your list.
Yeah, we're going to have to pull that together, and we're going to have to pull them basically a 5-year improvement document, so they can see what we did. We pulled ahead stuff and improvements and whatnot. So overall, the total expenses here, you can see it was about $1,900, unfavorable to the budget. But again, those are old budget numbers. We'll have new budget numbers coming in to reflect the variance component of it next time on that. In talking with Leland Accounting, I did not want them to go through the hassle of restating all of January based upon that. So starting in February, there will be new budget numbers in there on a monthly basis, and then for the annualized too. I thought it was $1,500 each
Yeah, it's
side.
15, so I'm wondering if you purchased something new.
There it is. It's the annual storage amount then for the stuff. So, continuing. Our key metrics here. We ended 2013, our operating surplus expense on hand, 329 days. If we do the math, and I did it in my forecast file looking at all the potential financial ins and outs and everything, we should be able to tack on another 10 days of operating expense on hand, is where I'm figuring right now, without another hurricane or something catastrophic to come through. As you can see here, the net income, previously we had a stretch target of around 11%. Obviously, from a forecast basis, I know we have another financial issue coming up in the March time frame that's going to impact that. I'm hoping we can hold the line
and perform the same 5% as we did last year. Because essentially, we're sucking up a hurricane expense, you know, again,
Yeah.
type of thing. So, but if that's the stretch goal and we can, and we can, you know, try to perform to that, I think that's, I mean, that would be a big win on that.
Yep.
Hopefully no hurricanes this year too, right?
Mm-hmm. That's the other thing.
No hurricanes.
Receivables, we're looking at, you know, obviously you can see the monthly for January, you know, is an isolated data point there, is substantially higher. I think we talked about this. It's always high starting at the beginning of a quarter pay, and then as people get their monies in, it slowly drops and then spikes back up. It has that seasonality almost to it. But if we look at performance, and I created an algorithm to look at the seasonality based, if you have repeat owners on certain things, I can factor in and out based upon account number, you know, and taking it, the ins and outs, you know, versus new people coming on and where they perform if you get on the assessment list. We should be able to, you know, get that around 17,000, which again, if we go even back to 2013, I mean, we're about 70 grand. So we still had a substantial decrease overall on that. And another correlation to that is our receivables as a overall soft cost, looking at the goofy numbers in there sometimes, you know, with the interest calc and all that. But there's really only 2 accounts that make up the lion's share of what we have in terms of the 90 days outstanding receivables.
That's awesome.
So. Project dashboard, just a couple things here. Let's see, we do have, from an open perspective, we're still looking at, you know, the electronic LED exit sign component on that. We've got the bids back. You know, we're looking at probably a couple grand to do that effectively, which I'll have that data. I mean, we just ran out of time. We had some other things that had to come before that for the board here. The annual sidewalk grind and replacement. We did have the vendor meeting. Maria got that set up for us and sent out to the vendors. Based upon some timing and some of the vendors, we did extend the RFP response date. So I believe they're coming back 26th. So I'll be able to pull that analysis together and send everybody the, you know, probably 15 meg PDF or whatever of all the stuff. But I did have, you know, conversations with multiple vendors. You know, we've had them working here before, you know, Honel, Asphalt 365. We did have Precision Sidewalk Safety or something like that. That was Amanda, right? And previously they had done work in here where they did the grinding, which was almost like a shaving. They have some 6 patent shaving activity. You know their work because it looks like almost like somebody cut the center of a rock open, and you can see all the, you know, you see them when you're walking around. You know, so I'd like to see if we could, you know, and I told them, you know, we wanted one vendor to do all the work, but they don't do any replacement. So I said, you know, we can split it, because if we can take more of a cost-effective strategy to use their method to shave, where we can, and then we'll just replace the stuff that's really bad, because we do have a couple of really bad issues out there. One of which I tripped over when I was talking to her walking. So you know, that I think that'll be the best route to go, just initial gut feel. But again, we'll wait for the numbers to come in and see who can do what on that. Because again, the one right above it is the road sealing and repairs. We probably want all this kind of stuff done before we do any road sealing, so you don't have anybody taking out concrete after you just seal the roads. So we'll just let that one string along for a bit. I have emailed the vendors who did on that, hey, you know, we're taking a loop, we want to get this done first, type of thing, and then we probably should entertain if we need an interim tree trimming to have any of that activity happen then too, so the bucket trucks don't have to roll through it and then figure it out.
I'm happy to delay that ceiling. That's going to be just such a mess.
No, it will be. No doubt about that.
So what about the guardhouse?
Yeah, we have vendors set up
contractors. Kent had provided me names before, and even pulling some from the CAI organization for, you got general contractors and people people who specialize in that. Got those meetings, multiple ones set up next week to go through and kind of jumpstart it. We did have a couple people who are going to refresh some things that they did, because I think we met with them kind of like the tennis fence right before the hurricane. So essentially we stopped progress on it, as well as they were kind of still wrapped up around the axle relative to, repair and mitigation of that, so.
Because I think it's urgent.
Yeah.
This needs to be done. We should not keep it on hold for a long time. We should move it on. Maybe next meeting we should have something.
Yeah, we can. I'll push them to get it, because I guess, and I'm open to suggestions. What I wanted them to do is kind of do an assessment of the building, which we had originally had somebody inspect it and everything was solid within the building, electrical and all that kind of good stuff. So there's really not too many major infrastructure improvements like in that regard. But in terms of getting more, I guess you want to say, usable or functional space, how do we reconfigure, getting some new paint in there, those type of questions, I want to see what they come to us with. I don't have any, I'm not just going to tell them, hey, if this was a, I guess you want to say, a renovation.
Are we going to keep the structure, or?
I thought we were just gonna expand it back.
Expand it back.
Yeah,
right?
possibly. Yeah.
Or
That's
are
one
we-
of the ideas we
yeah.
had.
That would be the one we're looking at. We wouldn't, demo the structure, because the footprint, you really don't have the footprint to get something ideal like a Phillips Landing, where they have a truckload of room in there for the one guy who never moves fast when I have to go through there. But, we just don't have the footprint.
Right.
The only place we have to go is back, and we do have already that little area that already has a pad down, where they have the stuff, and a lot of that stuff we're just gonna have to have hauled away, because that's a bunch of crap back there. A lot of that stuff can just be thrown out. But
But if we did redo it, we could also go up a little bit too, even if up with storage.
Storage would be key on that one.
And, and then we added a bunch of all that equipment to it, right, to a place that didn't already have storage now.
Yeah, so I put on to, all the machines up there. These little thermometers you can actually plug in through. It doesn't even go through a USB, it goes through like a headphone. And it'll send it to an app, so I can monitor how hot things are getting. Because the last time I was up there, somebody, I guess, put some stuff in front of the main, I guess you want to call it a video recorder server, the silver box. And that thing was getting hot because it was blocking all the air. And obviously it needs to be addressed, because there's no real functional, if you want to call it like from like a data center perspective, air coming in, being blown in, or even air coming out.
Yeah.
It's basically, they took the front cabinet panels off of, look, I mean, it looked like, the builder special or something left over. They took the cabinet panels off, threw it in there, which will work, but if there's obstructions to it, it can start to get a little bit overheating.
It's a hack right
Yeah.
now. It's kind of a hack job, I think, in there.
And the other thing I would like for us to do then is work with Lincoln to lay out effective Cat 5 cabling, make sure everything is cabled, power supplies are added, so we're not running so many damn wires all over the place. And I'd like to get, like a network switch put in where they can plug into stuff. I'd like to also put in, like a USB hub, so, if people need to come in and take, snippets of the video for, law enforcement or whatever, is not an issue trying to move stuff around like it is today to get in there. So, but that will require us to more space. And to your point, Raid, that's what we're going to be looking to, is to get more effective space. But I'll push them to get that in as quick as possible. See what we can.
And the second thing are the exterior photos.
Yep. We have the signed
Still
contract.
open, right?
It's still open, but we're looking like March 1st-ish. I gotta put
They
that.
just need a date. Yeah, because you've got the paperwork back, right?
I believe I do. It's signed.
Yeah. They filled it all out, so they're just waiting for a date. They'll confirm their availability, and they're good to go.
So they are waiting the date from us, or?
Because we had the winter holidays, everyone still had their lights up. Then we were saying because of budgeting reasons, we wanted to hold off for a little bit. So
Do it March 5th. Have it on a Monday.
okay.
March 5th, okay.
Okay, sounds good to
Okay,
me.
if you can confirm that, and then I will
confirm it with
I
you.
will push that out to the community, because that's only, obviously, that's only for ARB for Turtle Creek, that's only Boca and Waters. So I'll have to
Yep.
make sure that they're aware what's going
Oh,
on.
so we are not doing Avalon?
No, this is only for the
No.
Turtle Creek.
Okay,
ARB.
because the ARB is,
They already
Yeah.
have
they
their-
have this.
Well, actually, it's March 6th, excuse me, I read that wrong, it's a
Okay.
Monday. Let's see, what else we got, and that,
Mike, you are aware of these photos, right?
yeah, the photos, remember the photo record
the
thing?
exterior photos for the home, for our record?
For the ARB?
I didn't realize, have we done it yet, or?
No.
No, we're
Yeah.
scheduling
Yeah.
it.
We're scheduling, but you're
Yes.
aware of it and everything.
So
that
we
we're
will do it
doing.
annually, every March. We
Mhm.
take
Right.
photos for our records, so that if any homeowner applies for any changes in the landscape or the exterior of their house, we have a record. What was the house?
Absolutely, that would be very useful.
Yeah. Now, remember, he did say he estimated 2 to 3 days, so he may have to be in here multiple days.
And that's why I figure if we can have them start on a Monday,
Mhm.
so it doesn't bleed
Yeah.
over into another week and, you know,
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
that mean
Just
that.
if we do communications, we need to say, within this time period, there will be a photographer.
Yeah, and I will have to get him his access code into, or
Yeah.
access into the.
So after you confirm, we need to inform the homeowners that
Mhm.
on
Yeah.
our website or letter or something.
We'll send out an email.
Yeah, so that they will
And
be
put it
aware
on the
that
website.
somebody will be taking photos
Yeah.
of the homes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
let's see. Online strategy here, you can see we had a significant jump. Obviously, that is due to the new website.
Mhm.
So I think we've finally stabilized a lot of the issues. I know we do have a fair amount of work to do relative to, you know, some of the things we're trying to improve and trying to get done on that. And I'll show you something here, because this is something we said we were going to do, and I don't know too many HOAs who actually do this, but let me just pull this out. So if you look here, this is the website is still on logged in. So you can see here, these are the HOA documents.
Mhm.
So I've started, well, after I cleaned all this stuff up, this is how I originally envisioned it looking. It's a lot cleaner. It doesn't have so many damn categories as the other one did.
Yeah.
But like if you go to finance here, we do have financial records back to 1996. We will have all financial records that were in possession of Leland when we went through them posted here. So if you go into like 1996, hey, look, there's a 1996 budget if you really have some free time. Now, if you have documents here, like this one here is a good example. You've got the budget for 97, and you have every month financial results scanned in for all of 1997.
Nice.
But again, it's now if we come back down here, obviously, we have, you know, starting in 2018, well, January, I haven't released that yet, but we'll have our amended budget here, you know, and we'll just keep adding it month by month. It's just, you know, here's like 2017, you have everything in here. You know, it's essentially going to serve as the one-stop document repository for everything.
That's
I'll have the
nice.
engineering reports up here from, you know, however long we've had them, all that kind of stuff. Meeting minutes, you know, we have those back further than 2000. I just haven't created the hierarchy yet. But like you see, 2017, you know, we did have a problem with them getting blown out. Maria helped out and sent me over, and I reformatted all of them into the right template, posted them back up. So you got all of 2017 out there, and you got most of 2016. I'll get that done tomorrow. But you know, once we get all this out here, there should be basically no question on documents. Everything that we have in archive is essentially here. The only thing that is absent from this would be any, you know, any kind of collections activity or attorney-client privilege stuff. Everything else will be all scanned and flushed in on there. So, I mean, I'm forecasting we should be done by the end of February with all that, because there's still a lot to go through in terms of making everything work. And then let's see, back to this. We did have another item to mention here is
the MailChimp, which is working out quite well, in my opinion, so far. Looks good, template, runs well, hits all the, folks. I mean, we sent out 4 emails, and right now, I mean, we're in the high 60% for opens out of 285 emails that are on file. So, we're getting a fair amount of people coming through and looking at stuff, which is good to see. So the message is getting out there. At least we have some visibility into what's happening. I can tell you what the most time of day when they get opened are. We have people in the United States, Brazil, the UK, Canada, Malaysia opening this. We had people in the United Arab Emirates. So it's getting out to the people, and that's what I never had visibility to when we did the other ones from the website, because it never gave you any idea. It just kind of went, and there it was.
Yeah.
But the MailChimp thing runs pretty well so far.
Very good.
It's relatively easy to use and continue on. So the other thing to mention, we've had people using the online forms for becoming online voters, for some consents there. We've had a couple questions posed there through the Contact Us page. It's working fine. The ARB, people still are submitting, and we're going to have to work around that, but I know that there is work being done.
Can you do attachments or?
Not yet. They're working on it.
Okay.
Because they're redesigning that whole page. And Mike, I met with Leland IT, and Kent was there, Maria, and we kind of laid out what we want for that form.
Okay.
So there are going to be multiple places to, multiple options to put on files instead of just one thing. You can attach up to 5 files or something like that. We're also going, since everybody always wants a survey, what we figure, you only need a survey really for substantial, like you're building a new house, you're putting on a full survey. The rest of them, what we're going to do is, I'm going to go in and take the plat off of the county assessor's website, by address, load it in, and it'll automatically be part of the record. So if you ever need it, the person can choose to attach it, and it'll just come out of their file, versus having to get scan something and put it in.
Okay.
And they'll also have the ability to download it, mark it up, and then upload it back again.
That would be nice.
So you can draw in where you're putting your bushes or your tree or whatever like that.
Pavers or driveways and all that stuff.
Correct.
Yep.
So I don't have a timing on that, but it is in process.
Okay, perfect.
So just to give you a heads up.
Actually, another thing, since
Mhm.
it was something I was going to mention. Is there a way we can get or have it up on the website for access by the ARB committee to find out how many outstanding ARB requests are out there?
That would be
Right now,
so
we've been
nice.
emailing them, and we had one that sort of got lost in the email. So we did respond in time, but it had gotten lost, and without that weekly. So what I'd like to see is an outstanding list of them that need to be addressed, and probably limited to the ARB committee and the board.
Yeah, like could Leland put them out there, and then we would have our own sign-on or something to it, just the ARB board members could see?
Let me see what we can do. Because I mean, if you had a dashboard, you could say, track how many open, an age report.
Yeah.
If I have 7 open, they're aged in days, here they are.
Perfect.
And then how many are completed, so you can keep a scorecard of how many you're pushing through, because I don't know how many you push through in a year, ARBs,
Probably 20 some odd.
So, all right.
And then we just got one this week, and it's just, it just gets all mixed up in your email.
Actually, I got 2 today from the website that I got to forward on.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, so see, it's getting busy.
All right,
That's a good idea, Mike. Yeah.
I will bring that up, see what we can do on that. I think that kind of covers most of this. From we're coming up right on time. It's 7 minutes left. I'll open it to the board. Is there anything the board wants to talk about?
No, I'm good.
I did have one thing to mention. It's been going on for about 3-4 months now. The gates, we've had multiple incidents strike cars.
Oh, right.
Both of my cars included, on both sides, amazingly enough. I had Casey out.
Targeted, I think.
Yeah.
It knew.
Somebody in there pushing the clothes button.
Yeah.
I had Casey from Alden, our resident gate guru, out. So he's going to test the loops on the exit side. That's where we seem to have the most problems. Understand if the loops are working, if maybe they're just not set to a high enough sensitivity. They can make the adjustment. We also looked at, how do we, I don't want to revisit this just after, changing some loops. So basically what the plan will be then is for the entrance gate, right now it's on a single loop system because even though they work independently, they're going to put in separate loops for either side on the inside of it. So if the car goes through the gate and for whatever reason has to stop, like happened, and it's past that eye, because the eye sits on the back side of it, and it'll hit the car, the loop will be able to pick it up then and stay open. So that's one improvement on the entrance side. On the exit side, depending if we need the new loops under the pavers on the front side, as you're leaving, that's fine, we'll get them replaced. He is going to put, I guess, better eyes, the sensitivity eyes, behind the column, or on the back of the columns. The previous eyes were actually, the manufacturer wants them mounted onto the posts, but the vibration from those things are so heavy, they kept getting out of line, which are causing all kinds of problems, so we had them, they were, taken out, because we figured the loops would be able to suffice. So he's actually going to put it on the brick columns, which should dampen the, the vibration and such.
Should
to
stop
keep
everything.
Yeah, so you'd have those on there. Plus, on both gates, we're going to be putting what's called a miller's guard, or miller's gate, on the inside. So, on the flat pieces that come together like this, it's actually kind of a rubber cushion that slides over it, and it's actually linked into the master terminal. And when that gets compressed, there's sensors in it, and it feels the compression on it, it automatically will stop and then start to open itself back up. So even if the eye fails, the loops fail, that miller's guard, if it senses that compression on there, it'll then open it. It'll start to self-open and have those on both sides of the gate. So, we're.
When's all that gonna happen?
It's a lot of backups.
Yeah.
Can we have rubber on the?
That's what these will be.
Yeah, that'll
The
be
miller's
safe,
gate,
yeah.
that's what it'll be. I'm waiting on the quote. Casey got tied up, or I would have had it for the meeting today. The eyes they're going to do for free as part of the warranty. They're just going to charge them back to LiftMaster. The new loops in the front, they're about $350 a piece for new loops. So you're looking at about $700 for them, maybe $700 for new loops on the exit side. Depends. Don't know yet. They're going to come out and test it tomorrow and see what's going on. The miller's gate, he was going to look, but you're probably looking at maybe $1,000 for each side. So two of them, $500 a piece. Exit, two of them, $500. Roundabouts. He was going to look it up, make sure he could procure them, and get some relative timing on it. So just a heads up on that. I know that we've had a couple issues with that, so we do have it in process. So, but now I'll open it up to the floor. Sorry about that. I had to get in the gate plug. So, anybody in the audience with questions? Yes.
We were told that we would be given the information as to the name of the person who filed the complaint about Neighborhood Watch. I would like to request that information.
Okay. And then we still have that under our attorney-client privilege. I don't think we've discussed when to release that.
You
at
said
this
in
point.
February that information would be made available. Is the attorney here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right there.
Can we receive that information?
Talk to the board.
What is the legal status? So it's entirely up to the board as to whether or not they reveal that information? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, Mike, why did you tell us that we would have that information available to us?
I said we would release it from the January meeting. I said we had not determined a release date to remove the attorney-client privilege as of yet. And we have not discussed that as a board. It was not on our agenda for this evening for that.
We can add it to the agenda for next meeting, obviously, and discuss it as a board. And Lou, I can bring you up to speed on that situation.
So are you telling me that the board can still decline to release that information?
Yes, if it's under attorney-client privilege, correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, the board could decide not to do anything with it and leave it as is until some further date.
Yes.
And why is that, given that this information affected every single resident of Turtle Creek? Why did the 6 of you get to make that decision?
Well, I think we were pretty much transparent and upfront and said all this would be locked under attorney-client or classified as attorney-client privilege until such time that we felt everything was fully, if you want to say it, resolved and settled.
Well, it has been resolved and settled. The signs were removed. And I understand that the board has refused to have the sign posted at the gate. So what is not resolved?
At this point?
Yes.
At this point, we have not conferred as a group on this.
You have what?
We have not conferred as a group on this and brought it back to our discussion points to see if there's any outstanding opinions or ideas on this. To me, I don't know. I'm not making a decision at this juncture on this. Like I said, we'll put it on the March agenda and we can determine release at that point. Because we also have the opinion. So it will be on the March agenda? Yes. It will be on the board's agenda for next week.
So that's being recorded in the minutes, that it will be on the March agenda?
Yep, and it's being recorded on YouTube. It will be on the agenda for March.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
With the hurricane, we lost the magnolia trees on the entryway median, and somewhere along the way, we've lost the shrubs at the upper level on the entryway. I just wanted to confirm that the board was going to maintain the common grounds and replace those with equivalent magnolia trees in the median and equivalent shrubs in the entryway.
I can tell you from the entryway, we had this discussion a little while back. We are looking at replacement on those and taking out, like I believe the Hawaiian ties are not the right fit. There's no shade for them anymore. They get burned. So that we are in a process to looking at the getting those taken care of and getting that revamped in the front entryway. From a median perspective, I think there were 4 trees that were there. 3 of those were earmarked to actually be removed due to scaling and declining health and that nature. We have not looked at replacement as of yet. It's not to say we can't put it on something to look at and get some mock-ups and see what we think. I can add that to the list for the landscape architect on that, and we can review that at a future board meeting when we get that information back.
Well, the board has a duty to maintain the common grounds, and putting back what got destroyed seems to be part of it.
And like I said, we'll take a look at it and see what makes sense to put there. Magnolias did not hold up well, as you can tell. And we'll look at different options besides that and see what makes sense for us from both places. I especially know in the front that we do need some work on the entranceway on both sides by the walls on there.
Well, I don't mean to belabor the point, but you know from past meetings, I'm not too happy with the changes in the landscaping already. From my read of the covenants, the board has the authority to maintain the common grounds. I don't see anything in there that gives you the authority to modify or change the common grounds. So, you talk about something equivalent or something that's like suited for that. It's just not the same thing. And I'm not sure I'm gonna like what you want. Why not just put back what was there?
And I'm not disagreeing with that, but we will look at all options to see what's available, because we do essentially have a white sheet of paper to work from. And if it, to be quite honest, some of the stuff was getting up there in age and needed to be removed, rationalized. We really, I don't believe any under obligation of what
investing money in plans that struggle the first time and find better alternatives. Absolutely, the Association Act, arbitration and court cases will all stand behind the board of directors who makes a rational, reasonable decision to to change the landscaping to better address what's needed. There's no absolute requirement that the exact same type of plant go in the exact same location, because to do so would be to ignore the reality that you have, which is some of those plants, if the board's judgment isn't properly fit, so they're free to make the change if they need to. If you want to ask if they're going to put tinsel in there, of course they're not going to. That's kind of a straw man argument. They're going to put in what they feel is the best interest of the community, and that's how you talk to the landscapers, etc. And so that's within their discretion to do that.
Does reasonable and prudent apply, basically? Of course, they're saying.
You make a reasonable, prudent decision.
So the budget.
It's very common to replace
And the
landscaping
budget.
when you find to be better
You just care
landscaping
about the
choices.
budget. Right.
If you want a second opinion, he's right.
Well, can't argue with the law.
Yes.
I have another question. I'd like clarification on attorney-client privilege regarding the neighborhood watch sign, and then I will shut up. Who is the attorney? Obviously it's you, I assume.
Yes.
Who's the client?
The association.
So the attorney-client privilege here is to this board deciding whether or not they're going to reveal the name of the person who filed a complaint against the neighborhood watch sign? That's the privilege right there?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so you have essentially a dispute over the neighborhood watch sign. And when your board of directors communicates with me, the attorney, regarding the issue, those communications are all privileged, which means that that information is not divulged outside of the board of directors unless the board of directors votes to release that privilege and release the information. Because this has been an ongoing issue among a number of people. And I guess it's pretty close to resolution at this point. If it's not at resolution, your board can decide, now that this dispute is basically over, to release that information. It's not my privilege to release. It's your board of directors' privilege to release. And in abundance of caution, the board hadn't addressed it for today, probably because it's not on the agenda, and you have new board members that probably need to be caught up to speed. At the appropriate time, which sounds like it's going to be March, they'll vote on whether to release the information that was communicated back and forth, specifically the name of the person that made the complaint. But I don't get to release that privilege. That's a board decision. And it has to be done at an open board.
All righty. Any other questions?
As long as I'm here, I'll ask you. Out of curiosity, the status of the house on Emerald Chase Drive across from the opening to the detention pond, I think it's Titus?
Yeah, formerly. Formerly, yeah.
What is the status of that house?
Actually, I can tell you.
Mike can tell you.
It's changed owners.
Okay.
We have
The
good
new
support
owner
tonight.
is going through a
Yes, we did.
significant remodel of it.
Big dogs in.
I wish he comes in.
Applied
with-
twice for an ARV.
Can we pay
The
him?
problem is there's an easement on the property for a canal that the
Prior owner screwed up.
actually the builder screwed up. The state approved the canal to go away, the county did not. So there is an easement on the property that the house they want to design will encroach on the easement. So there is two approaches. One, probably the easiest one, is just to give the homeowner approval to encroach on the easement. We will be having problems with that years and years in the future because every time they want to change something. So bottom line is that easement is not required. That canal was approved by the state to be filled, but not the county. The homeowner went and invested, paid the wetlands mitigation fee. So they've done everything to essentially have it removed. Where we're at right now is they need to essentially they need to provide us, I believe, a survey, and then we can approve that easement is now removed from the property.
But the county won't approve the building permit if the county still wants the canal, right?
No, the canal's done. Everybody's approved that it.
So the county hadn't, or?
When the builder, back years ago, the builder applied to the state, got approval, but for whatever reason, they did not apply to the county. and they just left it there.
So the county has now approved that?
Yes.
All right, so now he's going to go forward with the remodel?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
So
Yes.
he wants to move out. We've been working as to how to formally remove that easement from the property.
I see.
So that's where, so Tom has it in his job bucket, that's 1 and 2,
Okay.
to do. But that is going to get done.
Okay. My other issue involves something that I'm offering to do, which is I'm out like Batman every morning about 5 o'clock in the morning walking my dogs, and I noticed pretty continuously a lot of the street lights are either out or they are on the fritz, they're blinking, and nobody seems to be taking any action. I would be very happy to mark them on a plan as to which lights need to be attended to by, I think it's the OUC, is that who does it?
It's Duke, but if you mark them, if you want to just let me know, and then I'll go around with the app, because you got to type, either type in the address or it picks it up on
There's a number on
There's
the...
a tag on all
Yeah.
the poles.
And you can do it from that. But if you mark them, I can...
It's too dark for me to get the tag number
Yeah.
at that time of day, but I can certainly give you the addresses of the ones that need to be
Yeah,
attended to.
and that's all I would need, because I can do that on the desktop pretty quick.
Yeah, you can click on the Duke Energy map.
So I'll do that circle on Emerald Chase.
Okay.
And get those to you, because they're pretty consistent as to which ones are blinking, and the people who live in the house don't seem to even notice or care. But it's pretty dark out at that time of day, and it'd probably be safer. A lot of coyotes seem to like the dark there too, so I'd be happy to give you those addresses.
No, that'd be a big help. If you do that, just send it along, I'll get it in process and get all that information over to Duke and have that addressed.
Okay, good for you.
All right.
Yes. I'm working my way back to you, Taylor.
All
Sorry.
right.
Yes.
Is it my turn?
Yes.
I just wondered, how about the Exora in front of the Avalon lawn? They really got burned. And I think the ones in front of Boca.
Yes. So
So those are gonna be replaced too?
yes,
or-
they will, because
Okay.
we did have a walk around with that. So a lot of the arboricola, they're gonna try to trim down to see what can save, since it's such a hardy plant, but to your point, they're gonna take out a lot of that, stuff that you can tell right away is gone. I don't have a good date on that yet. I'm waiting to get that back from Brightview and when they do the install, but it is on their list to do, hopefully pretty quick.
And they never did the branches that, after the hurricane.
Yes, so we will bundle that up because we have other branches. We're gonna just probably do an interim coming up here after we get done with the sidewalks. We'll have them come through and do the interim tree trimming like we do every other year. So I still have that list that you had given me, and I have the list from Boca and Waters they have in their possession. So we know the scope, it's just getting the timing to work on that.
Thanks.
Yes, back to you, Taylor.
I've been to the new website and I like it a lot. Very nice job with that. But after my initial tour, it's difficult for me to find it again. And when I Google for Turtle Creek HOA or Turtle Creek HOA Orlando, I don't find it. So if there's anything you could do to make it easier to get to, I'd appreciate it. I think a lot of other people would too.
Okay.
Maybe some SEO work with
Yeah.
keywords for Google.
Yeah, spiders. Get more
Yeah.
Google spiders, yeah.
Yeah, we'll look at that and getting it up, pushed up the Google ranking and make it a lot easier.
Do we need to pay for it?
Without paying it, yeah.
No.
You shouldn't have to.
Just
yeah.
make sure our keywording is right.
And that's what I gotta check is the keywording and.
And then the more you hit it, then the more spiders,
Yeah,
the
more
find it.
the more
yeah.
traffic comes through it, the more
Yeah.
Google
Mhm.
prefers it. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. We'll take that and get that going.
Okay. All right.
Anything else? If not, I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:14 p.m.
I'll second.
All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.